Hello everybody, Elizabeth here, and when this comes out, we'll have 9 days before we leave for Arkansas. I put out a video yesterday about my 5 top reasons that I love Washington and why I'm sad to see it go. And I am recording this at the same time because I intended it to originally be one video, but it was getting a little long. So we're going to do part 2 of that now, and I'm going to do my top 5 reasons I'm kind of happy to see it go and why I'm excited about where we're going. Before I start this, I feel like it's necessary for me to put out there something that I haven't really talked about much on this channel yet. And that is that I am a patriot, conservative, Republican, I guess. I get so frustrated with these labels because they mean so many different things to different people. But basically, I believe in the Constitution. And, I have to grab my coffee. Hi. Basically, I believe in the Constitution, and I believe in the preservation of the Constitution and our rights as American citizens. And so a lot of these reasons have to do with that. And I'm not ashamed of that. I will scream it from the mountaintops. Anybody who wants to kind of challenge that, in my opinion, does not have a lot of grounds to do so. And I don't mind arguing it, but I'm not going to do it here. So just a little disclaimer before we get into this video. So my number one reason I'm quite thankful to be leaving, and I'm very thankful to be leaving where I am going, is gun laws. For those of you who don't know, I actually worked making gun holsters with my dad. We ran a business called 1441 Gear. He still does, and I will probably be joining that later on in a different capacity than I did before. But we are about guns in this house. We are. We love them, and we think they're a necessary part of protecting your family and a necessary part of getting food for your family and not having to go to the grocery store and etc., etc., etc. We don't use them frivolously. We train with them. We're very knowledgeable about them. I have a gun I carry every day. So does my husband, so does my dad, so does my mom. My sisters, when they're old enough, will do the same. They've all said so. So we are people who are very responsible with them, and we've used them for years. We've had them around for years. I don't remember a time in my childhood that we didn't have any guns whatsoever in our home. And we were always told gun safety and what to do with them. And I don't necessarily want to get into all of that, but that to say, they did pass a law here in Washington about registered weapons and re-registering your weapons and assault rifles, and it's a mess. 1639, go look it up if you are unfamiliar with it. But throughout history, our history, other history, modern day history in some areas, registration always comes before confiscation. And it happens that way, and it's the agenda of a lot of these people. They've come out and said that that's the agenda, and that's what they want to do, is come and confiscate guns. And I'm not okay with it. I'm really not. And the reason, I can talk, that they want to register weapons is because they want to take them. It really is that simple. They've said that's the reason. They have been very open and very honest about that from the beginning. And they need to know where to go to get them. And that's a big deal to me. and I fought it with everything inside of me. I did everything that I could, and the Democratic Party, the Republicans, whatever you want to call them, they won this fight. And part of the reason I love leaving is because where we're going doesn't have that yet. I'm sure they will eventually, and I will have to fight that battle again. And I'm not just going to run from it every single time that it happens. I'm not even going to run from it a second time. I'm not running from it. It's just a reason that I am quite excited to leave. And one of the things that I don't necessarily like about Washington. 2, the housing market. Anybody who lives in Washington State will be able to tell you that the housing market here just sucks. If you even find something that's available, most likely it'll be wildly and grossly overpriced. And they can, because it will sell for that. It will go. People buy them all the time, or else we wouldn't be having this conversation. The house that we are looking to buy down in Arkansas, we're buying for a very small price. And if we were to get it here, it would literally be triple. And I'm not really in the business of paying for something that is not worthy of that price, I guess. I don't know how to say that exactly. I'm not someone who's going to go buy something that is grossly overpriced just because I want it. And also, 3, my third reason that I'm excited to go is that in Washington, a lot of the property that is available here, which is what we need acreage, a lot of it isn't usable anymore. And the property that is usable is currently owned, and they're not leaving. We looked at a lot here before we had made the decision to leave. And, we'd get to this 10-acre property, but like maybe an acre of it is usable space, and the rest of it is like a mountainside that is rocky and unusable. Or it has gravel type of substrate on the ground that we'd have to do raised beds, and it would take significant work to make anything happen, far more than we will get where we're going in Arkansas. And that's workable too. It is. If we had decided to stay here, it's workable. I would make it happen. But I'm not sad to see it go. I'm just not. Number 4, traveling. In my last video, I talked a lot about going to the ocean and the forestry over there and the peninsula, and it's all gorgeous and I love it, and I am certainly not sad about it. It's one of my favorite parts, obviously, or else it wouldn't be in that video. But anywhere that you want to travel, unless you are going further east towards Canada, requires a mountain pass. And I obviously don't mind the mountain passes too much. I travel them probably once a month or more every single year. And they're not that big of a deal, but they do make traveling really difficult, especially once it starts snowing. And they're unpredictable as far as weather. Sometimes you can trust the weather reports, sometimes you can't. You kind of have to take an educated guess, and the longer you live here and the more experience you have with it, the more likely you are to be able to do that. But with that being said, it's also very difficult. And, we've missed family functions and holidays. My sister, who lives on the west side, has missed countless holidays and birthday parties and even just trips that she wanted to make to come home because of weather. and because of accidents or basically any kind of travel with the passes. Where we're going, there aren't really many mountain passes. I can drive wherever I want to go and travel wherever I want to go without worrying about a mountain pass. And that makes me really excited. It's definitely, since the beginning, been one of my least favorite parts about living in Washington. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place to go and hang out, and it's a gorgeous drive, especially if you're the passenger and you don't have to necessarily keep your eyes on things as much as the driver. If you are a passenger going over the passes, please help your driver out. Like, watch for wildlife. Just help your driver out, okay? They're stressed, depending on the time of year anyway. But if you're a passenger and you get the opportunity to just really look around, it's beautiful. But it does make traveling really hard, and I am not sad about that. And 5 is our current government officials. There's a few of them that I have a bone to pick with currently here. Not elected by myself, but they don't listen. And even the mayor of this town, right? Like, they kind of have their agenda and they're not really listening to the majority of the people that live here. Most of the people that live in Washington are devout Republicans, patriots, whatever you want to call them. They are. And it's mostly the west side in Seattle and Kennewick and that general area that is highly liberal, highly democratic, and they kind of make all of the decisions for Washington. They're the ones that passed 1639. They're the ones that passed a few other laws that I'm not the biggest fan of that really take away our constitutional rights. They did it. I mean, they don't even allow straws, okay? I'm not going to get into that. And there's not a very good balance, right? So most of us over here in Eastern Washington, we are devout Republicans, patriots, whatever you want to call us. Some people throw out constitutionalists. I don't know what to call myself anymore because it means so many different things inherently to so many different people. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating to be around people who believe what you believe, having the popular vote be so strongly against something, but to have our government officials pretty much just ignore the majority of us because of their own agenda, which is not their job description, by the way. And it happens more often than not. And again, this is something I would work through if I were here and if I were staying here. The reasons we're leaving are not necessarily these reasons, although they did play a role in our official decision. But they are the 5 things that are very frustrating about living in Washington and are very difficult about living in Washington, and a reason that I'm not so sad that we're leaving because of these reasons. So, thanks. If you made it to the end of this video, you're awesome, and I'll see you next time.